Emergency podcast time. We are back for episode 2 of the Frontline Fanatics podcast after probably, honestly, the most exciting win that Richmond basketball has had since Andrew and I have started following Richmond basketball. We're going to do our review of the Bluegrass Classic. I am Evan Aldifer, joined by my man Andrew Aguilera.
What's up?
Underrated singer. I'm going to come up with like a new little catchphrase for him every single
We're
time.
not getting into that.
How you doing, man? How you feeling after today?
I'm doing well. Great Thanksgiving weekend. Hope everyone listening and you, Evan, had a great Thanksgiving as well. Feeling good. I mean, I'm not one to get super excited after one win. I think this is an awesome win. Beating a top 10 team in the country is great. I also like to put a little perspective on it and think, it's a second game live. Packers intercepted Mr. Trubisky. He's terrible. I just like to think that, second game of the season for us, third game of the season for them. We don't really know what they are. Kentucky's young every single year. So like John said to Noah during media, I think it was Wednesday maybe, talking about how they have such a young, inexperienced team. We kind of are just playing like a high school all-star team that's not really together yet. But, I mean, at the same time, it is still a ranked team. And when it comes to be March, it's going to look good for us. So super happy about the win, obviously. Like, why would you not be happy about it? So what about you? So I'm feeling pretty good. Morale's been high today. Colts got crushed, but spider-wise, we're feeling good.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, we both got our spider gear. We're really riding the wave from the win today. I'm feeling good. We're going to get into a lot more Richmond, Kentucky live reaction for today. We're going to run through a couple things. We're going to start with the Morehead State game. We'll get through that pretty quickly because I'm sure people want to talk about Kentucky. Spend a lot of time on Kentucky, and then we'll wrap up looking forward to our next game on Wednesday against Charleston. Before we get into any of that, though, Andrew and I want to send a shout out and a thank you to everyone who listened to our first podcast that came out middle of last week, or I guess middle of this week. I think we're getting over 100 plays now across all media outlets, which is really cool to us because, again, this is something we threw together, just texting back and forth, not that planned, not that, organized or anything like that. And for everyone that's texted, reached out, questions, comments, feedback, any of that, it's been awesome so far. So keep that coming. It's been really great to, interact with everybody and see how much interest there is in Richmond or just you and I talking back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sending my thanks as well. I remember the first episode we did. We had put it out, and then we went to the Cellar for Cellar Wednesday or something here. And we're seeing these plays on SoundCloud. We're like, whoa, like people are actually listening to this. This is crazy. Like, why would they listen to these like two morons just babbling? But I think we know our stuff pretty well. So thanks again. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Morehead State game. I'm going to defer you to recap it first because full disclosure, I missed that game, was doing some things. I've involved wineries in Sonoma. I'm going to leave it at that. But what did you think about Morehead State, what you saw from the first game of the season, and, even how it transferred over to the game we just saw today?
Yeah, so while you were in Sonoma, I was on my Nordic track bike about 10 feet away from you watching the game.
Let's go.
The people on Twitter saw my sweaty halftime press conference, if you want to call it, halftime update. But, it was an okay game. Like I said on my quick recap, I don't think it was our best game. I don't think it was our worst. First game of the season, I didn't expect a ton. I didn't expect to see a ton from these guys. I know they've been dying to play. But it's the first game they played in 266 days, so didn't expect them to really be like fresh to play other people. But the first half was a little sketchy, especially because Morehead had gotten beaten so bad by Kentucky 2 days prior, only going up 7 into that half. But some highlights were that KO was amazing. He was 10 for 10 with 23 in the game. Golden was 8 for 10. Those two guys were super efficient, and then we really came out strong. In the second half, we held them to 24 points, and we didn't really have to turn on the offense because they were kind of all over the place, and I feel that because of that, we didn't really need to crank it up either. So I think overall, I think it was an okay game. We kind of had that tough first half, but we got through it. And the only other kind of sketchy thing I would say from that game was the Andre Weir scenario where he was a coach DNP. I don't think we know too much about it, but I'm going to assume and guess that it's nothing too bad. If it was, I don't think Chris Mooney would have given us the optimism about him having a future potential here in this program. So That's just speculative, but besides that, I think the game was fine and we got the win, and that's what really matters. So any comments from you, Ev, just on what you saw after the game or the Andre scenario?
Yeah, I think for the Andre thing first, I listened into what Coach Mooney had to say because I think Noah asked him about it, and he just basically summed it up in saying, "Hey, we hold our athletes to certain standards. He didn't meet those standards, and so we think it's best. We decided to not have him dress for these 2 games." So to me, it kind of sounds somewhere in the middle of making a dumb mistake versus doing something actually wrong. I think if he did something really bad, probably wouldn't have either talked about it or we'd already be hearing something about it, right? So probably just a simple freshman mistake, something that the coaches established that wasn't going to be acceptable, and so your punishment is to miss a few games. What I think will be really interesting to see is if he's going to crack that rotation in a significant way based on what we've seen over these past 2 games of our big man rotation after Grant goes out. So we'll get into that a little bit with what I saw from Kentucky today, but look, Nathan Ko 10 for 10 from the field. I think it's
Robert Tonyan touchdown.
Oh, the Packers are killing it and killing it for my fantasy team too. But look, it comes down to this: if Nathan Ko is going to be a top 2 scorer for this team, what that means to me is that the scoring pressure is off of Jacob and he's distributing, and the scoring pressure is off of Blake and Grant, and they're making plays. We're going to be really, really good if Nathan Ko has given us 15, 18, 20 points a game. I did not see that at all. I thought he was going to be a clear 4th option based on what we've seen, and he has clearly improved. So that's really, really exciting to me because, again, if he can consistently get to the bucket, the way we know about how he plays, he takes smart shots, he makes shots he should make, doesn't really do anything that's outside of his wheelhouse. So his consistency is going to be very, very important to the team's success going forward. And I think we saw that in Morehead in a big way. And then we saw it in the Kentucky game today. So unless you got anything else on Morehead, Richmond just beat number 10 Kentucky, man. What do you have to say to the folks about that?
Yeah, one last thing for Morehead. Got to mention a Mac Race 3-pointer. That's great to see. Kentucky, though, yeah. I mean, we know anyone that's listening at this point knows that this is why we are doing this podcast right now. What was the final 82-64, something like that?
I've got it up 76-64.
Oh, that 82-64 was the Richmond Morehead game. I'm confusing myself. A lot of basketball this weekend. So
consistent defense, 64 points each game.
Yeah, we love to see that. But I mean, it's a great win. Got to be super happy about it. One thing I did notice during the game, which was one of our tweets that got a little bit more attention, was I think we got these announcers got to put a little bit more respect on Grant Golden's name. We got Dan Shulman and Jimmy Dykes talking about his long beard and his long hair. He's like, oh, is he a hot yoga instructor? Is he a barista that like pours me almond milk? He's the guy who checks me out at the green market. Like, no, this guy is not, as Stephen A. Smith would say, a bona fide scrub. He's a bona fide beast.
Yeah.
He's out here balling. He was super efficient again. He only played like 20 minutes, I think. Had 13 points, joined the 1,500-point club. Congrats, Grant. But yeah, and I don't know why they're talking about. I mean, I guess they just need something to fill the time. But
yeah,
I mean, fill the time with some accolades. Don't fill the time with calling the guy who works at Whole Foods. But
yeah,
I know that's not exactly a recap of the game, but that was just the first thing that stuck out to me.
Pretty weak. Like the long hair and the beard makes his look. But yeah, you look at the numbers. Like you said, he played exactly 20 minutes. And in those 20 minutes, gave us 13 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. So, I think we can look at it both ways. It's probably and again, over the past year, Grant has always played less minutes than the other core 3 now, or core 4 last year with Nick in there. Due to one, I think, conditioning. Because again, people forget when Grant was a freshman, he collapsed on the court with a heart condition. So,
yeah.
I'm 100%. Sure that still goes into Mooney's. I mean, if I was a coach and I saw that happen to one of my players, I would be afraid to push him to play 30 minutes a game or 35 minutes a game. So he's always played less, but I think 20 is low from what Richmond wanted, and that's obviously due to foul trouble, right? Because he was kind of going in and out with Matt Grace in the second half. But great efficiency. Congrats to him. He's a great player. Just some other of my quick thoughts from the Kentucky game. first and foremost, I'll shout out my guy, Mike Augusta. I did claim on the first
Go,
podcast,
Mike.
I would be on the hashtag Hire Mooney train if we did beat Kentucky. We beat Kentucky, so hashtag Hire Mooney. There you go, everybody. No,
Speak for yourself on that one.
yeah, right. Well, maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But just a couple things I saw. I was watching this, by the way, on a plane going back to Maryland or to DC from 30,000 feet, 240p on that Alaska Airlines Wi-Fi. So I could, barely make out who the players were, but it was really a tale of two halves, in my opinion, where it came down to it. Kentucky sped the game up in the first half. They made us take some bad shots. They made us run the floor and not really get into our offense. We're not a fast break team. We are maybe off a steal where it's an unsettled situation and we have the advantage, but we're not a run up and down the floor and let our athletes beat your athletes kind of team. So I think that played into their hands for the first half. But then the second half, we smartened up. We took more time, both on the offensive side and on the defensive side, and the score, kind of played itself out from there. One thing I ultimately am really curious about from this game is, does this say more about Richmond or does this say more about Kentucky? And two stats from Kentucky really stand out to me. One, they didn't make a three-pointer the entire game, which is shocking. And two, they didn't have an assist in the second half, which just speaks to how bad their offense was out of sync in the second half. So, yeah. Andrew, is that Richmond being really good on defense? Or is that, as you mentioned, 5 high school all-stars coming together and just not really flowing in a way that a college team should?
Yeah, I mean, as a slightly Richmond biased person, I want to say it's this changed zone to man defense that Mooney's brought in the last year. But at the end of the day, I think it's a little bit of both. I think we played pretty well on the defensive side. We were making Kentucky guys take really bad shots. As Evan would say, that shot like right to the right of the hoop, like 5 to 10 feet out. Like when you're right there, you got no glass. It's the worst shot in basketball. One of my favorite shots.
Andrew loves it.
They were taking a ton of those shots and they just weren't making them. The form looked bad. They just looked out of sync. But I also think it is the classic John Calipari, one and done situation where it does take teams like this a little bit of time to get together. I think we're lucky that nothing against our team, just towards Kentucky. I think we're lucky we're playing them in the first week of the season and not in mid-January when maybe they've had a little bit of a chance to get to know each other. Like you said, last podcast, they don't even know where they live on campus yet, stuff like that. And like, they don't really know each other. Like, these guys are all high school all-stars and they're the best recruits, some of the best recruits in the country, but they don't know how to play as a team yet. On a lot of those teams, they're probably the guy who's getting up all the points, all the assists, everything. They're getting all the attention. So now that they've had to come into a program like Kentucky and learn to, grind, be gym rats, and just play as a team, I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to get that together. And who knows, maybe we're wrong, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this team is not even in the top 25 for the rest of the year because they just don't have the team talent. Maybe they have the individual talent, but I don't know. I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to see what happens, but I definitely think it's a little bit of both. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's a little bit of both. A couple, in Kentucky, I was definitely impressed by Olivier Sarr, Wake Forest transfer. Shout out to Deke. Shout out my brother Adam. Hope you're listening. I saw Olivier play against Richmond. At that point, I think he was like backing up another 7-footer, so he didn't play too much. But especially in the first half, when they got him the ball on the low block, even with Grant defending, he could get any shot he wanted. He had a couple drop step dunks. He could throw some shots up, and then their athletes could go up and just rebound for quick tip-ins. I think they got away from that in the second half a little bit, which was surprising. But I think it's a really good Kentucky team. It's a team that, in very Kentucky fashion, will get better as the season goes on. I'm sure they'll be a tournament team, and they'll make some noise in March. But no, look, let's be straight, right? Let's not take away from the Richmond performance today. I think one really, really interesting thing, and something I said, especially in the first half, Jake and Blake together probably played their combined worst first half that I've seen them play maybe ever since they've been in the same lineup. Jacob was missing wide open 3-pointers. Blake was taking some really questionable shots. I like to sometimes call him Blake Harden when he gets on those strings where he'll just do crazy dribble combo pull-ups. He hits them, which looks really cool sometimes, but a lot of times he'll go cold. But in the second half especially, Jacob took over the game without really needing to score through his defense, stealing the ball directly, but just both off ball defense, and then creating for the other guys. And I think that's highlighted most by that awesome highlight behind the back pass save that Blake, had a wide open layup for. So look, I think Jacob did this a lot last year, but him again, only scoring, I think it was 8 points for the game, or
yeah, he had 6. I mean, you're right. His shooting wasn't good. He was 3 for 13 on the day, 0 for 8 from 3. That's
that's bad. 0 for 8.
Yeah,
0 for 8. Bad. And I think he shot just around 30% for the season last year as a 3-point shooter. So again, it's great that Richmond could win that game with him shooting that bad, and that's because Jacob is so good that he doesn't need to make shots to impact the game and even be the best player on the court because of his defense and because of his ball skills.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. He makes his impact known off the stat sheet a lot of the time. Just a game thing. Did you notice the fans at all on the stream? I didn't really. I saw there were 3,500 people there, and I was hearing from some people that they thought that would make a difference, but didn't really make a difference for me.
I heard a little bit. It's interesting. I've been listening to some other Richmond content, and I hear Nick Sherrod talking a lot about how he thinks as a road team, you're at such an advantage by not having a traditional student section, packed court. And then Kentucky, that's multiplied by 1,000 because that's one of the most, it's the wildest fan base and one of the toughest places to play. So I didn't hear them much. The loudest I heard was the Nate KO dunk at the very end of the game. That sounded like a home game.
Yeah.
From the pure audio clip I heard, that was awesome. I'm sure, and I heard the broadcaster say we had a little bit of a Richmond contingent, friends and family, that were allowed to get in there and watch the game. So I'm glad they got to see some Richmond basketball. We're all really jealous to not be able to watch it in person. But, I think that played into our hands. I mean, you can hear a crowd of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, but like you said, those young guys from Kentucky rely on the fact that if they get a huge dunk or make a big three, it sounds like an NBA arena, and that's where they want to go.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
So I don't think it played a big I think it played directly into our hands.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how we played overall. I think, like you said, that played into our hands. I also think what played into our hands was having Andre back on the court. I think I think he was. Me too. I think he helped space the floor really well. He played well on D. I think he played like 17 minutes. He was 3 for 3, efficient. Helps move the ball around. It was great to have him back. Yeah, I mean, I think the only bad thing from this game was really the turnovers in the first half. I think that's what kind of kept Kentucky in the game, really. Yeah. I think if that didn't happen in the first half, maybe we're up at half and then we just run away with it in the second half. But
yeah, so we've been singing Nate's praises, and again, he had a great game today. Shot 8 for 13, 18 points. He did have four turnovers, so hopefully we can clean that up a little bit. That was, again, as I mentioned, there's definitely a testament to how fast the game was being played in the first half.
Like you said, that dunk was an absolute exclamation point. Everyone's like nominating that and Gilly's pass for top 10, which is awesome. But
well, we've been such an under the basket team that every time I remember there was like a couple Quan Ford dunks, maybe a couple like Deion Taylor dunks. Now I guess we've got that's a name. That's real Spider fans know Deion Taylor. But we're not the highlight factory, right? We're a lot of under the basket bounce passes and all that stuff. So that was cool to see. One thing I definitely didn't want to let this go without mentioning, like you said,
Matt Grace 3-pointer again. Let's go.
Well, it was kind of going to be that, but the bench, right? So you mentioned Andre already came in and did exactly what we needed him to do. Matt Grace, like you said, didn't look horrible. Sometimes I worry when Matt Grace goes out there, and that 1-3, that was.
I don't think you're the only one. Don't worry.
That was a momentum-changing 3 coming off the behind-the-back pass from Jacob. Shot it confidently. And then, you had Saul come in there with Matt, and again, they're not going to win the game for you, but they didn't lose the game for us in a game where we couldn't keep Grant out there as long as we wanted. So I think Saul towards the end had a really nice block on Toppin, and then, led to a loose ball. Matt hit that 3. We don't need those guys to score 10 points or get 10 rebounds a game, but if they can come in for the 5-10 minutes that they play, Saul played 7, Matt played 14, and just not be a negative, I think we're again sitting really, really pretty. So I think it was a total team win. It was a balanced scoring attack. Not one player really, took over the game. And I think that's going to be a standard for us in a season where at any given time, Blake, Nate, Grant, Jacob, and even Tyler can be the best offensive player for Richmond on the court. So, again, it's awesome. We were talking about how great it was that we can even say Richmond is playing Kentucky. And the fact that we watched them beat them convincingly in the second half is really exciting. And so I'm just super excited to follow this season and see where we can take things from here. We're going to get and we're already getting it, right? A lot of positive press on it already.
Yep.
So hopefully we can live up to that.
Yeah, like you said, with those guys coming off the bench to not be negatives. I think the only negative I had was the Matt Grace foul out.
Yeah.
In a close game that could hurt us, but maybe because Mooney was feeling a little bit more confident about where we were in this game, he wasn't too worried about that and kept him in. But that was really the only negative for me in terms of that.
And I would just say that can be stretched to the whole team, right? Because I think we were in a position at one point where Tyler, Jake, and Grant all had 2 fouls in the first half, and we had to sit them at some point. And then Grant picked up a quick third foul. We had to sit him for a while. So we talked about how strong our depth is. That can get erased really quickly by foul trouble. I don't think, and I'm curious what Kentucky shot from the free throw line this game. Let me double check they shot. Yeah, they only shot
20 for 33.
Yeah, 20 for 33 from the free throw line. So, if you're shooting 60% and we have them in the bonus for a while, that's going to be, we're not going to get beat because of that. But if we come across a really good foul shooting team, we might run into some more struggle about that. So that's the only other point I had.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid game summary. I mean, only other thing I know we probably don't want to dive too deep into.
I want to dive into it. We can give it 5-10 minutes.
Was the fan reaction from this game? For me, it was a little much. I mean, I'm super happy we won, but a lot of what I saw on the internet today was, oh, look at these people that were on the Fire Mooney train, or retweeted something about the billboard like, oh, let's all expose them. They were wrong, like all this stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, I think we were talking about this earlier, Ev. You were telling me, fandom isn't about just supporting it when you're good, And I think these people that were on this, this train, it doesn't mean that they were wrong to be on the train, this Fire Mooney train, whatever it was. Now maybe they're back on it. Like, there shouldn't be repercussions for having a coach that you wanted to be really good not live up to the expectation you have, and you should be able to have the opinion you wanted based on that. So I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it. Also, the people that were posting all day today, like, oh, roll damn Spy. Like, I've never seen you talk about Richmond basketball in your life, and you probably didn't even watch the game, so get out of here, all right? So, yeah.
Well, I'll just take what you said a point further, because I would love to have a conversation with somebody about this and just hear the other side. But when did fandom become blind, positive, critiqueless support? Because if that's what fandom is, I'm not a fan of anything, right? Like,
yeah, and I think we talked about this a lot in our independent study with Foresight. Like, what is fandom? It's not just blindly like, yes, it's all good all the time. Like, no, that's just not how it is.
Yeah, and it's almost like people are coming at those who were frustrated with the team's performance a few years back now, and they're like, oh, you can't enjoy the team's success currently because at one point you didn't want the coach to be there. That makes no sense to me. I mean, let's just think about it in any other context, right? Like, you can't expect a fan of a team to just consistently be positive. Oh, it'll get better. Look what's going to happen down the road. The reason that people are so, got so critical of things in the past is because we really cared about it. We care about, again, Andrew and I have skipped class to watch games. We've watched games on Flow Hoops, whatever the heck that is. We've literally been in the stands when there's
too much of our time watching these games. Probably
we've been in the stands when there are less than 50 students at these games. That even might be a generous number. It might be less than 20. Right? So we've seen the bad and the good, and we've enjoyed the good so much that's why people like us were concerned about it in the past. And again, I was never on like the full Fire Mooney train, the Fire Mooney Mafia, whatever that came to be. But yeah, I mean, Andrew posted a picture today of the final score. We mentioned the Jacksonville State game from, I think, what was that, 2017?
3 years ago, almost to the day.
It was like a 35-point loss. And at that point, everyone was saying this is one of the worst non-conference performances by an A-10 team in recent memory, right? So are we just going to say, oh, well, that's sports, haha, like everything will be fine? No, those are the times. Because, again, there was that meme a while ago, like, if you don't love me at my worst, you can't love me at my best, right? So why does it always have to be the best, right? You gotta take the punches and roll with the negative. So, look, at least for me, I'm going to ride this positive wave, right? Because we've got a great team. The coaches put us in a great spot. We just had one of the probably 5 best regular season wins in our program's history. So we're going to be really excited, and we have the right to be excited. Everybody has the right to be excited. Let's not go get selective over who can enjoy wins versus who can't, right? Because that's, again, a mid-major team, a school like Richmond that has a real problem in engaging students with the team, with their athletics department in general.
Trying to isolate people.
It makes no sense to me, man. So I don't know if you agree with me or if you've got a different take, but that's just what I wanted to add on that.
No, I'm totally with you. I don't understand why, a tough, frustrating season that you don't really support means that you can't support a great season that's like we're off to a really positive start. So I don't know. I think everyone should be able to cheer whenever they want, be against it whenever they want. And I think that just means they really care about the program. Like for me, I'm not going to say I was ever, probably was actually full fire Mooney for a little bit there. I'm not going to lie. You can check my old tweets. I probably was, but it's just because I wanted the best for this program. And I know that this program has so much potential. And it's great to see that now we're, starting to climb up the ladder to reach that potential. But we always had the players, we had the system, and it was just something was off. So I think as a fan, you just try to, for any sport, you just try to find the blame on someone, and you don't want to blame the players because, they're putting in a ton of work, and the coach is the face of the team, so it's the easiest to attack. So that's it. That's really all I have. Yeah.
No, and again, I just pulled up this is a lot of that reached its height after a season opening loss to Delaware at home by 13, a home loss after that to Jacksonville State by 33. We lost to Cincinnati by 28, lost to Louisiana Lafayette. These are consecutive games. To Louisiana Lafayette, lost to Vermont, lost to Wake Forest. So, I mean, that's like a 2-7 start, right? So, again.
There's a reason to be mad. There's a reason to be mad. And it's okay.
We're mad because we care, not because we want to see people do poorly and we want to wish poorly on a coach or on anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
That's one thing I'll say. It's never personal. It's never personal. It's not.
We'll have to get some people in when we can all get back into a bar or whatever and just hash this thing out. The Fire Mooney Mafia, the Hire Mooney Mafia, we can all come together, become the one Mooney Mafia.
Or whoever it is at that time.
Right, yeah. And Richmond will go to
just the Richmond Mafia. The Richmond Mafia.
Richmond will go to every, tournament for the next 20 years. So
let's hope.
Anyway, I think both you and I wanted to get that off our chest.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm glad we did.
Yeah, and I hope that people agree with us or don't agree with us, and let us know why you don't agree, and we'll address it. Exactly.
Let us know on socials, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you want, we're there.
Podcast, comments, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Anything, we're open.
All right, so I think that's a pretty good wrap up for Kentucky, right?
That's everything. Richmond beat Kentucky, roll Spide. Yeah. We are fans. We're excited.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up with a little bit of Charleston.
Let's get on to Charleston. Cool. To be honest, you know way more about this team than I do, so I'm going to let you take this.
Well, so I think
besides the fact that they kept UNC close in their first game, that's all.
Yeah, so I think this is part of a home and home. I think we had them at home last year, and this game is going to be at Charleston next week. So I was just looking at some numbers from last year. It was a 7-point win for us. We were at that point that got us to 9-1 on the season. So that was when we were on that early season roll. I think we were getting a lot of top 25 votes at that point. It was a big game for both Grant and Blake Francis, I believe. Yeah, Grant had 17 and 7. Blake had 20, and then Jacob just had a very classic Jacob game, 7 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 steals. Again, this guy's like 5'9", and he's doing all this, and 5'9" is probably generous. But Charleston at that point, they had Grant Riller, who's now in the NBA, which is really cool. He's a NBA. I think he got drafted in the 2nd round and is now on the Hornets roster, which is pretty sweet. But for this year's team, I think you're going to see kind of a 1-2 punch of Brevin Galloway and Zep Jasper. two interesting names. Galloway hung 20 on us last year. And Jasper played 30 minutes, but only scored 3 points. He was 1 for 5 from 3, Brick City. So yeah, I think, and Charleston as a team, they played 2 games. They played UNC, as you said, and then they played Limestone. And I think Limestone is a D3 school, but it's also a type of sedimentary rock, according to Wikipedia. So probably should have searched college at the end there. But I think if I had to predict an opening line, I think we'll probably be favored by maybe 12 points. And, we'll see if we want to get into the action on that. But, yeah, I mean, look, they ended up losing to North Carolina by 19 in their first game, but they were very close at half, neck and neck. It was like a 1-point game before UNC took off at halftime. So they're a good team. They're a quality mid-major. So I'm not writing them off at all, man. What about you?
I mean, I'll never write anyone off. You know that about me. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to the matchup. I mean, always appreciate facing fellow, contending mid-major teams. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. I mean, hopefully we're not riding too high after this Kentucky win. But, yeah, I mean, they played UNC well. If we're going by the rankings, what were they, 16? They lost by like 19. We beat the 10 team. So it should be a decent matchup. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
I'm just looking forward to more basketball. Honestly, I just want to watch more basketball. That's it.
Again, just hope and pray. Team stays healthy. Yeah. Again, I feel like we're gonna start to forget that because of how excited this game was. Hopefully
we saw the team welcome today. I'm like, no, we don't need a team fan welcome. Let them go to their dorms. Like, stay away from the people that are going to work and stuff like that.
I do really wish we could have seen a Mooney Calipari handshake at the end of the game, but he just gave him the old wave and
and then he did that weird thing where he said before the game that Calipari wasn't going to do media, and that was kind of weird.
Did he just know they were going to lose and didn't want to have to talk to people?
Maybe he did. I mean, he sounded like he knew he was going to lose when he talked to Noah Goldberg last week, so maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I think he's been trying to do that strategy where he just kind of craps on his team to try to get them to.
I think so,
he's
too.
Like, we're freshmen. We don't know what we're doing. We can't do anything.
Yep.
And, just tries the reverse psychology thing. Clearly didn't work for Richmond.
Yep.
But, yeah, no, we're pumped. Again, hopefully this season everything can continue to go clearly, smoothly. Next game, as I mentioned, it's Charleston, December 2nd, Wednesday, 7 p.m. on
Damn, it's already December. Jeez.
On Flow Sports. I don't know what that cheese is, bro. I'm probably gonna have to pay shout out to Chris Moo. So if you know, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to have to pay for the royalties there, so we're shouting them out.
I'm probably gonna have to pay $10 to watch this one game and have like a monthly subscription and get 15 emails before I remember to unsubscribe. They're like, I think Flow Sports is like the streaming partner of the CAA, which is what Charleston's in. So after that, should be smooth sailing on ESPN Plus / national TV for us. So we should be good. Big plus subscribers here. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Hopefully,
me too.
Continue to look like the team we were today.
Yeah. So let's say we're AP voters. It's Monday. Coming up on 12 o'clock, where are you putting this team in the top 25? Because I think it's not a foregone conclusion, but it's pretty positive that we're going to be in the top 25 tomorrow, along with St. Louis.
I almost want to look up the AP top 25 from the opening week just to see how many votes we got.
Yeah.
Just because, again, I think we were getting votes at the beginning, and then we, but ultimately we didn't get enough to actually be in the actual top 25.
Yep. I know Jeff Goodman posted his update tonight. I think he has us at 16.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little too high, personally.
Me too. So to answer your question, I'm going to put us somewhere in the I'll go 19 to 23. If you're gonna have me put a number on it, my number is 21. So that everyone listening, write that down. We'll set the line there. Yeah. But going into the preseason, we were receiving 40 votes. St. Louis was only receiving 8. That's solid stuff. So hopefully after St. Louis, I think they're now 3-0 or 2-0. We could potentially have 2 top 25 teams in the A10, which would be awesome. But yeah, I'm going to put our number at 21. What about you?
I'm right around there. I'm thinking 23. I think St. Louis jumps us at 19. So we'll see.
Yeah, they're a good team. I'm really, really excited that we're playing them twice this year.
Yeah, me too. I think the A10 is strong this year.
Yeah.
I saw, I think, what do they have? VCU at 9 in the preseason poll. I think VCU is a way better team than that. And we will get a VCU preview later this week, as hopefully we will have VCU former student videographer Andrew Canavos on the pod to give us a VCU breakdown. But I think
underrated IM guard as well. Underrated IM.
Oh yeah. You can check his Twitter out. He'll show you that. But I think we're definitely going to be a 2-bid. I hope. I think we could be anywhere between 2 and 4. So let's see. Yeah. I'm rooting for the A10 always.
We're one thing I love about the A10 community is we're all very inclusive, right? And I think that's maybe just a mid-major thing, but I always see guys, hyping up Richmond, and these are guys that go to Dayton or St. Louis or Bonaventure. So we're going to do the same. We just wanted to get this quick podcast up to talk about Richmond, but we'll definitely sprinkle in just some general A10 talk. I don't know if they have it copyrighted. Again, 3-bid league. Those guys have a podcast. Hopefully it's like a 4-bid league, 5-bid league about how we're playing right now. So
yeah, let's get us some more bids in this league. Come on.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say on the AP poll conversation is there's a cool website that I always check out called collegepolltracker.com. Would recommend everybody check that out if you're really into this.
No free ads, but that's a free ad.
That's a free ad. When it comes out tomorrow, they'll have the list of the list of the poll, but then you can actually look into every poller's unique votes, and it'll show you exactly where certain people vote teams, but it'll also show you, if someone picked a team that nobody else has in the top 25 is like an outlier pick, or if everybody has a team in the top 10, but they put them at 20, it'll show it as well. So it's kind of cool to see. And you can kind of pick out some journalists that might be higher on Richmond than others. I know one of them is John Feinstein, who's like a very well-known college basketball journalist. So he'll probably have us at like 4 tomorrow when it comes out. But my number's 21. Did you give a final number? Because I'm going to write it down. And
yeah, 23 and St. Louis at 19.
All right, 21.
Well, we'll see later in the week how accurate that is. But.
So I'm going to think people are still low on St. Louis. I'm going to put St. Louis at 23. So
all right, below us. Well, I think people are high on St. Louis.
We got that big Kentucky win, man.
They got two big wins this weekend too, though.
I know, but people care more about the blue chip programs than I think they beat LSU, which is obviously a really good win.
Yeah, and that was it. I mean, they beat SIU. I don't even know who that is. So
it's SIU Edwardsville, bro. Are you kidding?
Yeah. I'm supposed to know that.
Well, you never been there? But no, St. Louis is going to be good. They're
always good. Even when they're not supposed to be good, they're good.
They smoked us at home last year, and they didn't have like 2 players that are in their key rotation now. So we'll see, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
All right.
Anything else you wanted to run through? I think I got everything I needed out.
No, I think we hit it all. I think this is a perfect recap for the weekend, and look out for a new pod probably Thursday before the Saturday game. So
yeah,
we'll recap hopefully the Charleston game Wednesday. Hopefully have our first interview, and then move into the weekend pod. So yeah,
we are looking for interview guests as well. We've got a couple lined up that we're working on right now. But if you have a special talent, or you want to pretend like you have a special talent or qualification,
it's not that hard to get on.
Literally, it's very easy to get on. So let's do it. Let's make it happen. No, that's everything I wanted to go through. So I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 2. Like you said, episode 3 hopefully coming out on Thursday or Friday, because the games usually happen Tuesday or Wednesday and then Saturday or Sunday. We're going to try to do it around that Thursday, Friday time period in between each game, right? And obviously do emergency podcasts like this when we get big wins. So hopefully we do that again soon. Great to talk to you as always, my man. I'm still pumped. Hopefully I can catch some sleep tonight, and we're ready for the work day tomorrow. Sunday Scaries hitting us big time.
No Sunday Scaries here after the Kentucky win. We're ready to
Let's go. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you next week on episode 3. Peace out. Roll Spide.
Roll Spide. Thanks again. See you guys.
Thank you.